Okay, so in Romans 12, in the first verse, Paul says, I urge you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God, which is your spiritual worship, or I think the King James says your spiritual service of worship. So this is something that you can offer to God, is just to offer not just your bodies, but your whole entire self. I have a prayer that I copied down a few days ago that I want to pray every single day. I am all yours, and all I have is yours, oh dear Jesus. Because it's like, I want everything of me, every part of who I am, everything that belongs to me, my house, my pets. I'm not quite sure I can use my pets for God, but he has a way. My backyard, my front yard, my talents, my gifts, my treasures, my everything. I want to give that to God, and I want it to be his, and I want him to be able to use it however he wants. So this is kind of what the Apostle Paul is saying here when he says, I urge you, therefore, brothers, and you can read chapter 11 so you can see what the therefore is there for. I urge you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice. Okay, so we're different than other religions where they give a dead sacrifice. We give ourselves as a living sacrifice. And the interesting thing too is that when Jesus died for us, he died, so he was a dead sacrifice, but then he rose from the dead. So he's a living sacrifice also through his death. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, that's okay, because it's very hard. I don't know if I've ever completely grasped that, to be honest. I think there are times when it's like my mind grasps it really quickly and then it goes away. But it's one of those mysteries about God. And there are so many mysteries of the faith that there's no way that we can understand, like the Trinity. How can we understand that? So try to understand it. I think that it's good that you try to grasp it as much as you can, but understand that you can't completely understand it. Okay, so do not conform yourselves to this age. In other words, to this time, to this world, to what we have going on around us right now. Don't conform yourselves to that. The things that are going on in the world, they're not of God. They're of the devil. I mean, seriously. And it's not just what's going on right now. It's what has gone on from creation ever since the fall. There has been sin in the world. And so, we've been talking about Noah lately in our coloring class. I know that sounds really funny, you guys. The reason that we're coloring is because we're using the right side of our brain and the left side of our brain while we're talking about the Bible stories. And that can help us to understand it better. But anyway, we've been talking about Noah, and we've been talking about how everybody else in the world was just like so deep in sin. Of course, Noah was sinning some too. All of us sin. We all sin and fall short of the glory of God. All of us. But he was trying to be righteous. He was following after God. He was worshiping, and he was giving himself to God. And the way that he made himself a living sacrifice was by obeying God when God gave him the call to build this crazy huge boat and get all these animals on it and then float around for months and months on end, while God destroyed the sinfulness in the world. So it's not just our age that is particularly horrible. There has always been sin. There has always been evil and horrible, horrible things going on in the world. And we think that it's the worst right now. But if you look historically, or even if you look in other parts of the world, you'll find things that are even worse. And then you'll find things that are the worst here. I know that some of you aren't in the US, but for us in the US, one of the worst things is the slaughter of babies every single day. That's just unimaginable evil, you guys. And there's so much others. You can think of tons of evil that's going on. And here, St. Paul is saying, do not conform yourselves to this age. Don't conform yourself. Don't go along with any of it. Don't say, oh, it's okay, or anything like that. But be transformed. Okay, so don't conform. Don't form yourself with that, but be transformed, be changed. I think it's either Phillips or the Living Bible that says, don't let the world press you into its mold. I like that. Okay, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, or the renewal of your mind. And this is why, so that, here's the result, that you may discern what is the will of God. I know probably every single one of you have been saying, I want to know what God's will is for me. Okay. And that's good. You should want to know what God's will is. Well, here is how you can discern it. You have to not be conformed to this world. You have to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And you have to present your body and everything else as a living sacrifice. That's how you're going to find out what God's will is. And his will is what is good and pleasing and perfect. Okay, so I want to give you a little exercise that you can do, and then we're going to stop because we've already been almost half an hour. But I'm going to give you a little exercise that you can do that can help to transform your mind. And there's a lot of things that you can do to be transformed and to renew your mind.
Not to leave you hanging, but we want you to have the opportunity to think about and put into practice what we've already talked about here. We've given you the reasons and the idea of this now. The next part will be super practical. Watch for part B of Transforming Your Mind, coming soon.